Oh, I believe that we're on stage right now, right?
It's my perspective. No matter your race, no matter your age. On my perspective. Don't even worry about your fear. Come on and bring your thoughts. Let's talk about it. What's going on? Let's bring our thoughts together. It's my perspective. No matter your race, no matter your age. On my perspective. Don't even worry about your fear. Come on and bring your thoughts. Let's talk about it. What's going on? Let's bring our thoughts together. It's my perspective.
Hello. So good to be on My Perspective Show tonight. Thank you for coming out, everyone. And let's say hello to our cast. Wow.
Take
Good
care.
to see you all.
So good to have everyone here. You know what? We have a great show tonight. Tonight, we're going to be talking about bullying, all right? And shows that promote bullying. I mean, I know some shows myself, and sometimes it's kind of funny, but then it's not funny, to try to harass people, for no reason and trying to, it's very intimidating. So it's not very nice to bully people. So, Greg, Katie, Mark, hey, what are some shows that you are? First, let me ask you this. Have you ever been bullied? Then we're going to go on into the show thing.
Well, let me just say, I'll start with this off, and that is, if you're watching this show, if you don't like our show on bullying, I'm gonna come kick your ass. That's one.
Shame on you, Mark.
And the answer is, I mean, of course, I don't know how. I'll just speak as a guy, I guess. I don't know how you grow up as a guy, or well, I'm sure it's the same for females too. Although it may take different forms sometimes with girls than it does boys growing up. The mean girls versus the violent boys type of thing. But yeah, of course. On the other hand, I got to be honest. Did I ever bully anyone? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Am I proud of it? No.
Right.
I feel you.
So
That's very mature of you to say that.
right. I
Well,
was
one thing I got look, one thing I have going for me, Greg, is maturity. Okay,
Yeah,
I definitely got that going on.
definitely.
I was
Okay.
gonna say the same thing because obviously I feel like as a kid everybody gets bullied at some point or another. Even sometimes when you don't even realize you're being bullied because you just sometimes want to be a people pleaser and so but yeah, I was a little bit of a bully. I was short, I was little, I was aggressive. So terrible mix.
I understand.
But I've grown.
You always got to ask, like, why are these people bullying? You got to think about it. It's usually has to do with they need to like fuel their ego, or they kind of really need to feel in control. They probably don't have a lot of control over their life, so they feel this need to bully. And yeah, I agree. Like, who hasn't been bullied in their lifetime? There's different types of bullying too. There's bullying where it's like physical. You're getting physically beaten up. It could be, verbal abuse, but lately, in probably the past decade or two, it's been more cyberbullying,
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
what's
that's a
different.
big thing as
That's what's
well.
different from my day, from growing up, and I think
Me
you said
too.
that, Greg, there are different types of bullying, and I'm in an environment now. I'm not saying that it applies to everybody, but there's also such a thing as what do you call it, either social or intellectual. It goes in different guises, and universities are notorious for having professors who are sort of use their either their position and or their knowledge to bully other people, to belittle other people.
Hmm.
And I'm
Yeah,
not saying I've never done that, by the way. I mean, I'm like just to be
yeah.
honest with. But I think what is so a whole new dimension now is the online, because it used to be when you would go home at the end of the day, especially from school, well then you were done with the bullies, till the next day. But now with being so connected with texting and social media, you can get bullied around the clock, and sometimes these things take on a life of their own. That's what's different today than in my day.
Right.
That's good, because I remember when I was in elementary school, I had this tall girl. I mean, she was real tall. She's like, I was probably like in the second grade. She may have been like in fifth or something. She was way bigger than I was, and when school was out, she would step on the heels of my shoes, so I would lose my shoe. And I didn't even know her. She didn't know me. I said, what is wrong? And she kept doing it several days. And one day I said, you know what? I am like so tired of this. I'm gonna get her today. I don't care what happened. I don't care if she whooped me, she beat me up. It don't even matter. So when school was out that day, I said, I'm ready for her. Come on. I did. I mean, I was ready. But I did not see her. She was nowhere around. She never showed up. I've never seen her again. I'm just saying, like, what?
Look,
I was mad
wait.
because I wanted to get her.
Look, I wish I'd been there for you. I'd have the remedy for you, for her. Okay, you just take her out to eat with you sometime, and bad things will happen to her, because they sure happen to you.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Buster Bench.
Treat her to dinner sometime and take her to a hotel in New York City.
Oh, that's funny. That is so funny. But getting back to the movie side of all this, what movies that promote bullying?
Well, what I saw, I didn't see when we were assigned our topic. I think I saw what on TV, and I didn't sort of think about movies so much.
Movie or
We all
TV?
watch different movies, but honestly, the first thing that came to my mind, and millions of listeners may disagree with this, but I look at pro football and pro basketball, and I'm not saying that because football is an inherently violent game. That's part of the problem. But and Greg, help me out here. What do you?
There's a lot of bullying when I played high school football.
Well,
a lot of bullying amongst the team.
Well, and I think what, and I'm not saying it's different or worse than it used to be, but it seems that with a lot of athletes, and people look to these athletes for guidance, which they should not do in the first place. But it doesn't seem enough sometimes to just defeat your opponent. It seems you have to humiliate them as well.
Yeah, insult
I mean,
them.
and I know that, and to some extent, that is part of the game. I mean, guys like Michael Jordan was good at getting inside, and Larry Bird too, was good at getting inside guys' head by trash talking, and that affected their performance.
Right.
It's kind of a catch-22, I guess, but it's part of human nature, quite frankly, to bully people.
That reminds me of wrestling too.
I was just thinking that.
That's a very bullying sport.
It comes down to status, I think. If you can somehow make the other person seem inferior or less, it kind of elevates your own status, especially in the public's eye. And I think that's where it really comes down to, because there's no other reason to do it. I can't think of.
Well, in the sport that I despise the most, and I'm sorry, I know I'm going to sound really stupid, but what's the type of boxing that's become popular in recent years with the feet and everything?
Oh
Kickboxing.
gosh,
MMA,
I hate it. MMA.
yeah,
Yes.
should be MMA, yeah.
I absolutely despise that sport. I have, if it's even a sport, I have never known a sport where it is permissible to literally beat someone when they're down,
Yeah,
which that sport does. Even
Wow.
boxing, even football, as violent as they are, in boxing and even in wrestling too. Now wrestling is a whole lot of this,
Right.
so a lot of that's just talk, but it's rough. I don't want to offend the wrestler out there, but the MMA is I can't think of a bad enough word to describe it. I just despise it.
the audience, the people that watch that, I think tend to become more violent and aggressive too in their day-to-day lives.
How do you
I
not?
kind of noticed that.
Right.
Or,
And that's
or,
that's what I was
Do they
thinking about.
gravitate to it?
Right.
Sorry, Katie.
Exactly. No, you're fine. That's what I was thinking about wrestling. Because so much of watching wrestling is the storyline behind what's going on rather than the wrestling. And then these kids are sitting there listening to the stuff that's being said and the way that they're talking to each other. And so, I can.
Like that.
But
Yeah.
it seems like the audience love it when you trash talk people.
Oh yeah, it's drama.
Bullying.
Yeah.
That's what draws the crowd.
It's all
Well,
great until the kids bring it out into the real world, and then that's where the problem.
It's an unfortunate dark side of human nature that it's in our nature, and we have to suppress it. And some have a harder time suppressing it more than others. To bully people, whether it's physically or more often than not, as we get older. I don't know if we do less bullying as we get older. We just engage in different forms of bullying. You don't have to worry about when you get my age, walking down the hallway and somebody pushing you, knocking your books out of your hand, and beating you up.
Yeah.
But they can, but you can be bullied in other ways.
What's an
Right.
adult form of bullying then? What's that?
Online, on
Online.
cyberbullying, the internet. It's awful. The stuff that I see on any type of, the public forums, the news forums, the groups on there, the way that they talk to each other.
Yeah.
And you're right. You do have to suppress it because sometimes I find myself when someone says something really off the wall, like I want to be like, like.
It's
what do
easy
you-
to
Oh,
just
look how
let it
smart
go.
I am!
Right.
I'm going to write something pithy and funny
Exactly.
here.
But
and
then
put
I
'em
have
down.
to step back and be like, first of all, you're an adult. You know what I mean? You don't even know this person. Their opinion really means nothing in the, so just,
I
Or then
think
they
it's
have issues going on.
right.
it feels terrible to be bullied because I can also think back to another occasion when back in elementary school I was fat and I wore glasses, so they called me Fatso and Four Eyes. Okay?
Nice. Yeah. I
That's
got
a bad combination. Fatso and Four Eyes. I'm saying like, wow, people wouldn't play with me. I had no friends. Well, I did have one wonderful friend, but I was a loner. I always been a loner, so it makes you feel bad. But at
Right.
the same time, going through it, through being bullied, it helps you to be strong. You
Yeah.
know, to
You're
know
tougher
that
now.
you have to pull yourself out of it. And I feel sorry for the kids nowadays in school that are being bullied because I know some friends, some little kids that have even mentioned that they were being bullied, and I hate the fact because it reminds me how I was bullied.
But
Right.
Lisette, I would take issue a little bit with that. Now, in your case, I mean, that kind of surprises me to hear you say that, because you don't seem like a loner to me and all that. But in your case, there's that song that says, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." I don't know who sings it, and she probably doesn't know what the words mean anyway. But that is not always the case. I think in some cases, the people that are bullied like that, they bear those scars for life and never outgrow them, and they wind up being shy, withdrawn adults, just as they were. And I think back to some of the kids that I was mean to in school, and I want to go back now and say, I'm really sorry, but it was too late for that. I mean, but I wasn't bullied to a great extent. I was just an average kid. I was kind of small, kind of skinny, but
Well, Mark, I can't judge you too bad because when I was bullied, I became a bully. Okay, so I started.
Yeah.
It's cold.
I started I
Right.
started my own little bullying thing. I started
Yeah.
finding somebody that I felt like was weaker than I was, and started bullying
Right.
them until I had to
Somebody,
stop it. And then it reminded me, no, don't do this. Don't retaliate and act out what someone did to you. You
and
can't do
it's
that.
strange how some people become the targets of bullying. It's not always the smallest kid. It's just
Right.
somehow a kid that just doesn't fit in. I remember a guy in ninth grade, and God
Weird.
bless this guy. I felt so bad for him, and I didn't really bully him, but I didn't try to intervene to stop it either. And he was bullied simply because, this is a small town in Georgia. We all talked alike. And this guy came in, and he had this kind of high nasally voice, and he had a non-Southern accent, and he was bullied for that reason. And to the point where he would not do any oral assignment in class. He would not
Oh,
he would take a 0
That hurts.
That's
before he
sad.
would speak up in class.
wow.
That is so sad. You know, I remember my brothers, they was all older than I was, and they was bullied in high school. We was called hillbillies, you know, because we came from the a little town of Deep Run. Look at Marty, he knows about Deep Run.
Oh my goodness.
Big Hill, Deep
I'm
Run.
sorry.
I
If
mean,
you're from if you're from a
it was
town called
real.
Deep Run, you have it coming. I'm sorry. It's
It
just
was
gonna happen.
real, you know, real country, all right. And we came, everything that we had, we fitted on the back of our little truck, kind of like the Beverly Hillbillies, you know. And we come driving into town, you know, just to have a toilet. We didn't know what that was. What's a toilet? Because we used to have a piss pot, you know, and we didn't know what it was to have a bathtub. What's that? We were washing the wash pot. You know, we didn't know what it was. So my some of my older siblings, the students would call them hillbillies. And my brother, my oldest brother, he got so tired of it one day. And one day he retaliated, and he liked to took him out home.
Hmm.
But you know what? It never bothered him again. You know, but it's sad. You know, my heart goes out to people really that are being bullied. It's not pretty
Yeah,
much.
Well, it's getting more attention now than it used to. I
Yeah,
think
it
we're just
is.
getting more sensitive to it, and sometimes perhaps oversensitive to it now. 'Cause I think some people say, "Oh well, gee, that person was mean to me today, therefore that I'm being bullied." Well, kind of grow up. Don't be a snowflake. It's part of life, but it has its limits. But in my area, criminal justice, there are people who are kind of making a career, if you will, out of studying bullying, particularly among juveniles. Do people who are bullied wind up in the system? Do people who are bullies wind up in the system? And somebody said a while ago, it does, one kind of begets the other. Chances are that person that bullied is the bully at school has been bullied at school themselves, or is being bullied at home, and they're
yeah.
just taking it to somebody
You
else.
might have a bigger bully.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
a couple things. One, when we were kids and we were told that, the boys were being mean to us because they had a crush on us or because they liked us, when really just they were being dicks. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like, and it was, I
That's
mean,
about
There's,
it.
there's a
I
fine
was
line there.
I was at a school dance when I was in sixth grade, and a boy pulled my pants down in the middle of a school dance.
Oh, that's
I
a cool.
I know he didn't.
Yes, I don't care what your opinion, if you want to say he liked me or not, that was bullying. And
Did
that
you
was
slap him?
no, because I was in so much shock that it happened that I was
Right.
just like I just was like I didn't have the right words or the
Did you
right
have clean underwear? I'm just messing. That was terrible. That was absolutely
I
rude.
mean, I don't know. They probably had little designs on them because I was, I was a little kid. It was like one of my first school dances ever in middle school. So, and I think back to that and I'm like, but everyone, oh, well, he just picking on you because he had a crush on you. No,
No.
that's not how you treat someone you have a crush on.
Look,
Period.
what somebody did to me, Katie, they took my shoes, one of my sandals. Well, they took both of my shoes and they hid them. So I had to walk home on the hot pavement with no shoes on.
That's crazy to me.
In Deep Run.
It's not funny.
Up and down both
You want to find like a balance of adversity, meaning you don't want to be bullied so badly that you can't speak, but you don't want to never had anybody say anything ever to you, and so you never faced adversity.
Right.
I was thinking about this, like I was kind of bullied a lot when I was in middle school and elementary school by the football team and like just girls because I was a nerd, glasses, I was a little bit chubby. And I was just thinking though, it's also like how you interpret it over your life. Because now at least when I look around, all the people that were huge bullies, they're not really as successful. And I would arguably say I'm a lot more successful now than I was back then.
Yeah, they are. They're police officers.
But
They're police officers. What are you talking about?
there you go.
Healing therapy.
So, and I think
Keanu.
another way of making the world a better place is stand up for people when you see bullying happen. That can help create that narrative like, hey, there's no need to bully. There's better ways of handling things. There's better ways to become stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Talk
Well,
about it.
either stand up or just don't join in.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't really stand up and be realistic. I mean, you're going to stand between the person that's 3 feet taller than you, as opposed to just not joining the crowd. And like, this takes different forms. And I'm going to go back to when I was in graduate school.
Oh God. He said he wanted to go back to where he was in graduate school.
Graduate school cuts
There
out.
was no internet when he was in graduate school, so he actually did that perfectly. That was actually perfect.
In graduate school, no.
Oh, and now he's gone. Hey, you know what? While he's gone, standing up. Now, here's the thing with standing up. Standing up doesn't always mean standing up right in that moment. For instance, let's say we're all kids, and there's 3 guys the size of a mountain beating the tar out of you, and I'm a little kid too. That doesn't mean throw myself in there and get harmed as well.
Yeah.
But that means standing up when the authority or the principal or the teachers come.
Mhm.
Are you providing the information? Are you standing up
Yeah.
for that kid so they can be dealt with? And a person that can help standing up is if you know I used to love this in high school. A lot of the football captains used to see things in hallways and they would tell the person stop it. You know, when you're popular or you know you're a big person on campus, feel like it's your duty to help when you see
I did that as a
people
football
being
captain.
picked on the way that they're being picked on.
Great.
My,
Well,
I have
you
a
know-
question on that line right there. If you are being bullied in school, what is the what would be the best appropriate way to handle it? Should your parents go and to your defense, or should a principal, or should you
Try
handle
and handle
it?
yourself.
It's
It's
a
tough
shaky.
because
There's-
you get mixed messages at school.
Oh, I
You get
thought you were
told,
talking to me. My bad.
well, you get told handle your own problems, but and don't be a snitch. But then you get in trouble when you hit back.
Well,
Yeah.
it's like there's no perfect answer because it depends on the type of bullying, what's going on, how that situation is handled. Like we can go from minor to major bullying. You know, some kid keeps calling me Stinky Jeans every time I come to class in the first grade. Do I have my mom show up? No, that's gonna make it worse. They're immature little first graders, right? So it really depends on what the type of bullying is.
What about high schoolers?
It's
Oh.
it's
Depends on the
situational.
type.
There's some things that I had to handle on my own, and there's some things that I couldn't handle on my own. You know, if somebody's pulling a gun on you and you're like in a rough neighborhood and going to a rough school and someone pulls a gun on you, you're not handling that on your own. You might handle it on your own, but it might not end up the way you need it to.
So both of my daughters experienced a lot of bullying during high school. A
Wow.
lot of bullying on social media, a lot of and I don't like to brag, but both of my daughters are really beautiful. So every
You have
parent
a
says that.
beautiful mother.
Thank you.
Oh God.
So they were,
Beautiful
it
inside
was
out.
like the girls absolutely hated them and the boys absolutely loved them. So they had a really, really tough time. They got bullied by, and this, not, not even to bring race into it, but they got bullied by the white girls for being mixed. They got bullied by the black girls for being too white.
Wow.
So it was really, they had a really, really tough high school, both of them. And I want you to know that I spent a lot of time at that school on their behalf because a lot of it they were bullied by the teachers.
Really?
Well, it's the way things are now.
That's sad.
Schools can't afford to let it go under the rug anymore. And the case that came to my mind as you all were talking, when I lived in Texas, this happened at a school, middle school or high school, I think. And there was this kid who was being bullied physically every day by another kid. And he went to the principal, he went to the teacher, his parents went to the school to the teachers, and they would not do anything. They would not deal with this kid. So finally, I know this sounds drastic, but it's true. This kid brought a gun to school, and the bully comes up to the kid and just headbutts him and breaks his nose. The kid pulls out a gun and shoots him.
Woo!
Now, the kid who was shot survived, but when the case went to trial, the jury acquitted that kid because they said he was acting in self-defense, and he took a gun to school because that's the only way he could have protection. I know that sounds loopy, but I
it's
Wow.
extreme, but it's extreme. But
Well,
I'm not saying take a gun to school and kill people.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not saying that.
look,
It's so hard because the kids, their
hey,
brain is not fully developed.
well, my sister's brain was fully developed. She got bullied a couple times in school, and that problem got solved because her motto is sometimes you just got to beat a bitch's ass. And
That's
so
that
she
is
took her
also
soft
my daughter's motto.
so she took her softball bat to school one day, and let's just say those bullies stopped bullying her.
Why is it that a bully got to get beat before
Well,
they,
so
why is
wait,
that?
so first of all, I don't know if y'all talked about any movies because I just came in
We're
here.
getting ready to do that.
So
I did
here's
professional
the
sport.
thing. Sometimes when we say bully, there's so much going on, right? I didn't realize that I was a bully in junior high until I realized I was a bully because I was being bullied. So the short version, I grew up in an all-black neighborhood. I went to a predominantly white school. So at home, I wasn't black enough, and at school, of course, I'm not white enough, right? And you're getting called all these names, yada 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 yada. And if you're not a parent that can help someone navigate through that, like Katie didn't just go to the school; she also helped navigate her daughters through that because we know they're kids, and a lot of kids are morons. Okay, I was a moron when I was a kid. I fit in that category, and I used to pick on this kid, and not even realizing I was picking on him. I just thought I was being funny. And one day he came out in PE, and I smacked him. It was a thing you do where you just smack somebody on the back as hard as you can, right? So I smacked him on the back so hard he started crying, and he turned to me and he said, "Why would you do that?" And I didn't have an answer. I didn't have an answer. I was taking my frustration from being bullied out on him. So the bully was being the bulliers. You find a lot of bullies and you go home and you find out they're getting their ass beat at home. They're
Right.
in broken homes. There's all kinds of, they don't like their situation. So there's all kinds of things. It's not always it's a rotten evil kid. Sometimes there are so many things going on and no one's helping that kid navigate through it. So what do? They take it out on somebody else. I'm not saying
There you
that's all
go.
cases, but you know,
Even
Well, but
domestic violence is bullying.
I said,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it continues into adulthood too, just not in different forms for the most part. And what I was about to say before my internet went out a while ago, there it is. Well, I get in graduate school, and we're not talking about kids here. We're talking about people in their 20s and 30s and 40s. And we had this one young man that started graduate school, and just put it short, he just did not fit in. He was very socially awkward. He'd say weird stuff. He was a short, little, skinny, weird, funny-looking guy. Okay.
Mark was
And
the
so,
bully.
well, and the thing was is that people developed an unflattering nickname for him. They started calling him Skippy for some reason,
Uh,
and so everybody's called him Skippy this, Skippy that. And everybody picked on this guy, and finally a guy across the hall from me comes over and says, you shouldn't do that. So you just should not do. You should not call that guy that unflattering nickname, and don't do it. And what can I say? How can I defend my action?
He called you on it.
I
Is
said,
there?
It's just
I
contagious.
said, you're right. I mean, what else could I say? You're right, and I stopped. But I had to be called on it though, because that's what I say. You don't if you
Become
can't
aware.
stand up, just don't join in sometimes, and that's more common as adults is just
Yes.
ostracizing people, whether at work or in some social setting, and not so much physically bullying them. It takes different forms. It just changes as we get older.
Right.
hey,
This is-
Lisette,
Mhm.
guess what time it is?
Uh-oh.
It's time for Weenie Weekly Market Update.
Wait, hold on. It's always good sometimes when Mark does it. What time is it, Mark?
Well, I don't know what's going to go on today because things get no upwards, downwards, or sideways because the markets were closed. Take it away, Weenie.
Thank you. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Weenie's Weekly Market Update, where we talk about what happened in the market last week, and then we talk about the future, what might be happening for the market this upcoming week. And so last week, we talked about how the market was going to go sideways. Guess what, Mark? the market went sideways. Market went sideways a little bit, and then it dropped. So market basically unchanged last week. What am I expecting for the next week or two? I am expecting a little bit more of a drop. We are starting to fail in terms of this pattern. And, last week we got a lot of economic data and inflation was pretty high, especially in food prices. So right now, food is very expensive. So it's a great time to go on a diet and then wait for food prices to come on down. And then you can start buying a little bit more groceries at the grocery store or go out to eat a little bit more. But in terms of the longer term future of the market, it's becoming more and more uncertain. And the reason for that is AI. So right now the talk of the town is AI, or artificial intelligence. And basically AI, it's evolving rapidly. We talked about ChatGPT. I highly encourage you to check out ChatGPT. Have it write some things for you. You can tell it to write anything in any length, written in anybody's voice. You can write it in a celebrity's voice, Donald Trump. You could you could write it in basically just any single person that you can think of. Have it write something for you. But in terms of AI, it's starting to get involved with the markets. And so what we want to be thinking about is how can this affect the future? Right now, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but Google fired an engineer who claimed that its AI was becoming sentient. And sentient just means you have the ability to experience emotions and think independently. And that can be pretty powerful and very strong. And we need to be very careful with this. And the reason for that is, there are many benefits and many drawbacks of AI. Some of the benefits of AI becoming more and more advanced is we're going to have really big medical advances. We're going to have breakthrough medical technology. We're probably going to be living a lot longer than you might think. Time will tell on that. We're going to get really cheap labor, and we're going to be able to, be more efficient in our economies. I bet in the future, maybe in like 50 years, there's probably going to be universal food, housing, income. I'm not going to get into the politics behind that, but that's some of the benefits of AI, making the world a little bit easier, and then we can think about other things. Some of the potential drawbacks, though, of AI are, creative jobs are going to start to, go away. That's more of on the economic side, but more so, I'm more worried about, not so worried, but we need to, prepare for this, is if the AI becomes sentient and a little bit too strong on its own, we need to be careful. They made those Terminator movies for a reason. What if the AI starts to develop, codes for nuclear codes and starts launching nukes, or the AI becomes really strong and, creates a virus and releases a deadly virus that can kill all humans. So we need to create good AI that can offset the evil AI, if that makes sense. And so coming into the sentience, if you guys have seen the movie that Ryan Reynolds was in, it's called Free Guy. That is really important because it showed how, Ryan Reynolds, the AI in that movie, he was starting to become sentient. He was alive. He was no longer just some NPC in the video game. He had thoughts, feelings, emotions, reactions. And so that's something to think about as well. In terms of other economic news, we want to take a look at China. FXI is the ETF that tracks China stocks. And this is starting to crash quite a bit as investors are pulling out of China. You guys may have heard about the spy balloon. That's pretty crazy because that can just escalate tensions between the US, China. You want to be you want to be prepared for a potential World War III scenario. That's worst case scenario. Of course, we want to do everything we can to prevent that. That's why we want to make the world a better place. Stop that bullying, okay? Stop that bullying. So stocks something like Baidu. They're getting into AI, but the thing is, I think Baidu is a sell-do, so I'm probably going to take a short position on Baidu this upcoming week, potentially after the earnings report. That's February 22nd. And yeah, that's all I have in today's Weenies Weekly Market Update. Pay attention to AI, pay attention to the developments of AI, and use it to your advantage. Start using ChatGPT a little bit more, and it can help you in your life and your business. It's an assistant that can do anything. So let's get back to the show, you guys. Thanks for tuning on in. Yeah, I know. It's better to be prepared and then nothing happens.
All right,
than
Doomsday.
not
You're gonna
prepared.
have everybody running out and grabbing all the gallons of water again.
I'm sorry. It's my duty to inform you of these developments.
Warn them, warn them. You know what? I have this question. Now let's just eat. Thank you, Weenie, for your update. And what is your all-time favorite bullying movie or
Wait,
TV?
favorite?
Yes, I have a favorite bully. Bully. I have,
Was that the original question?
what is it? Yeah.
I'll let Mark go first with this one because I
Well,
don't have a favorite bully.
I don't know what. Okay. I had to do a few algorithms there too when she asked that. But when I think about the movie Back to the Future,
Oh, that was mine.
I did too. I
uh,
did too. What was
yeah,
his
and so
name?
that was the quintessential. The bully really gets what's coming to him movie.
Well, you say that, but one of my problems with that movie, because I know the title was Movies That Encourage Bullying, is when there's a movie where the bully, I'm not saying Biff was cool, but when they have
Right.
catchphrases that everyone says, it makes them cool. Hello, McFly. You know how many people went around school those of you who are old enough going, hello, McFly, to other people? So
Yep.
that was the thing I got out of that movie when we talk about movies that promote bullying, because for 3 movies we got to see him be a big douchebag bully, and he was made cool for it.
The interesting thing about I read the guy, I forget the actor's name who played who played Biff, but just the exact opposite in real life. And he said that he was bullied in school and how much he despised bullies. And he said at one point in the first movie with the guy he was bullying, because the guy he was bullied, the dad was played a part so well that the bully actor stopped and said, "Are you okay?" Because he felt so bad about bullying the guy. But another there was the Shawshank Redemption. There was a guy the guy who played the brutal officer in Shawshank Redemption. His name's Clancy Brown, and if you look on YouTube, you can see he's done some PSAs, anti-bullying PSAs. He played the quintessential movie bully, and got what was coming to him.
Wow.
Y'all-
Somebody
y'all-
said
Y'all
the
didn't
big
tell Mark
move.
what the doorbell meant?
What?
Doorbell means new comment.
Had an important thought.
Bryce White says Matt Keeble's Big Move is an awesome bullying, not an awesome bullying movie from the Disney Channel movie days in the early 2000s.
All right.
I'll go with Shawshank Redemption and Back to the Future is mine.
Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, does that really count? That's a prison movie, so of course there's going to be bullying.
That's one of my favorite movies of all times. Not bullying.
Well, but the officers in that movie, they took abuse of authority to a whole new level. Especially one character in particular, and that's why Clancy Brown was such an effective spokesperson for anti-bullying, because
Yeah.
you talk about a bad guy, boy, he was.
Yeah.
What about The Devil Wears Prada?
Oh yeah.
Oh, wait.
Never saw it.
So
I
what was
love
the-
that movie.
Who was the
You're
bully?
right.
Who was the bully?
Meryl Streep.
Nope. We could do a whole segment.
saw
I
it,
can
so.
I can break down why she wasn't a bully.
Why?
A whole 2-hour segment on that. You know, like you take a part of that movie, right? One of the parts. Do you remember when she was gonna do a run through at, I don't know, it was like 1 o'clock or something, and then everybody's running around because she moved it up to 12, and she gets up there and she's asking for things they don't have, and she's like, "Why is no one ready?" And people are like, "But you moved up the meeting." No, that's perfect. Why are you not ready an hour before you're supposed to be? Looking at it from her point, being a woman in that industry, being a woman in any male-dominated industry, how she had to get to where she was, and knowing what it takes to get to that, and expecting perfection out of your team. So if the people above her ask her to produce that run-through at 11 a.m., what is she supposed to do? Say my team's not ready? She did that. Everything she did kept everybody on their toes, and she weeded out who really didn't have the
Yeah,
stamina
the weakest link.
to get there. You know, it's just one of those things. You know, you've got. Anyway, I'd go on for on and on and on.
She was a little bitty. She was mean as dirt. I mean, she was.
Hey, look, the only time she really bullied her is when she stood in the airport in the middle of that hurricane and kept trying to get her a flight. Now that part, that's where she lost me. Okay, she lost me on that part.
There's a guy on the TV series Yellowstone that I don't like. I forget the character's name, but I've only seen a few episodes. I get tired of them killing horses and stuff like that. But
Oh man,
one of the characters in that show is supposed to be kind of a good guy too, and I despise that guy. He just bullies this kid with a criminal record. This abhorrent. But
Queenie's always talking about the bullying on his streams, the bull or whatever the heck he's talking about.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about bulls. Bulls just means prices go higher. Yeah, one movie that I actually thought of, I took film studies in college, and it was a great class. And one of the movies that we watched, Bryce and I were in the class together, we watched Moonlight. And I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, Moonlight. It basically follows the story of one black gay kid throughout different stages of his life, and he was different. He was bullied when he was a little kid. He was bullied when he was in high school, and then it shows him as an adult, and he's this just jacked dude, just like it completely like goes against the stereotype. And then right at the end, that he eventually hugs the guy that he was into, and they
Spoiler alert!
Yeah, so spoiler alert, but it was an interesting movie
that's okay.
about bullying and like how it really can like create people. It can put people into a shell when it's taken to an extreme. He was nearly beaten to death.
Good job,
Now-
baby.
Speaking of that movie, the actor from that, he's phenomenal.
Yeah,
He's
he's
sorry.
perfect.
That side note, he's just a phenomenal actor.
Yeah,
I think-
that's good.
Go ahead, listen.
What you said?
I think my favorite bullying movie is Friday, and Debo. I mean,
Oh,
he said you got nothing, look it up. But Friday, because I mean, here he goes riding in the neighborhood bully, riding the bicycle. His big rusty self. Intimidate all the. What kind of a baller? Intimidate all the. What you got anything, Craig? He's so. He said, no, we ain't got he got nothing. They're hiding stuff all on the tables and stuff.
what is going on?
It was, oh my God. It was just so funny. I mean, he is such a jerk. Bullying everyone. I mean, what you got? Y'all high rollers there. What y'all high ballers? What y'all got? No, we ain't got nothing. No, I mean, nothing.
Wow, what a story.
What is that? If no one saw that, if whoever just heard that has not seen that movie, they are so confused.
I mean, because I mean,
No, I totally get what you're saying. I saw the movie, so I'm piecing together
It's
your
funny.
you know what's and sporadic. I'm piecing it together, but if you've never seen the movie, you're like, what the?
My favorite bullying scene was in Spider-Man 1, where Peter Parker just got his senses, his new like spider powers, and he's like dodging the bully's fist. You can like see like little spit droplets. He does like a backflip and then punches him, and he goes flying. I thought that was an interesting bullying scene.
Mark,
I
being a
think some movies
professor-
that I like that have promoted bullying though is the two movies that Joe Pesci was in, Goodfellas and Casino.
Well, I mean,
And unfortunately, I love the movies. I'm sorry, I love the movies, but it glorified Joe Pesci's bullying. I mean, he was absolutely brutal.
I'm just laughing
But-
at you picking mob movies and prison movies. I'm like, well, there's gonna be some bullying in there.
What's
Well,
so
I mean, but-
funny?
Wait, hold
But
on,
the
Mark.
thing was, though, the unfortunate thing was that it even though Joe Pesci kind of got what was coming to him, it didn't portray him as a bad guy. He was a bully. He was a good guy.
Yeah, because this is the underdog. He's the
I
short
just
guy.
loved Mark's Italian fingers right there as he's talking about.
Yeah, when he's
you know,
doing
his-
that. Mark, being a college professor, do you think that like when they show college movies and people being bullied in college, it's a way bit over exaggerated, right? as opposed
I
to
said
high
something
school.
about that a while ago.
Mhm.
Because we kind of walk a fine line. I was in a job interview with a young woman a few years ago whose research expertise was bullying, and that's a very fertile area. She's going to be busy for a long time studying that because there's a lot of interest in it. But are we making too much of it? Is it just kind of part of human nature that we have to deal with? Are we being too sensitive? Is it overblown? Well, I'm sure in some respects it probably is, but in some respects it's probably not. It's not getting enough attention. So but if you're in a situation where you're being bullied, it's
Mhm.
serious to you. You know.
Right.
That's
I
true.
think I think it's really how you interpret it and how good are you at judging the intent of the person bullying you. For example, I'm looking over at my internal chat over here, and Jackson Turner here says, "Someone put this dork back in the filing cabinet."
Oh, that
Now,
was last week. He did say
yeah,
that.
outside of context, and if I didn't know this guy, I'd be like, "Oh, I was just bullied." But I know Jackson, I know
No,
his
you weren't.
intent, and it's how you take it. And obviously, it's not bullying. I wouldn't classify that as bullying. It cracks me up.
Well,
So,
of course you can.
it all depends on what type it is and
Well,
what's
but
the intent.
look, I have a little fun at your expense with the imitations, and you're a
Oh,
good
yeah, and I
sport about
love
it.
it.
But I also I'm not proud to admit that in the past that little knack I have for imitating people has also been used to bully and make fun of people too. And sometimes I didn't intend to, but sometimes, quite frankly, I did.
Mhm.
And so, like I say, bullying takes all kinds
How
of
you
forms.
take
It's just we get less physical as we get older with bullying, but
it. Yeah, so.
there's a little bit of bully inside of almost all of us. If we're not careful, we gotta suppress it.
Well,
I
here's the
think.
difference.
Interesting.
Mark, when you did it, you were bullying. You were definitely bullying Weenie because you're bigger than him. But Jackson can't bully you, Weenie, because he's smaller than you.
I've
Any,
learned
There you
you can get
go.
an ass kicking from someone smaller than you very easily.
anyone that I can pick up and put in my back pocket, I'm not worried about. Okay.
Wow.
I mean, it's easy to pick on people that are different. You're weird, you're different. So
And
the
we look
different
for
people get
differences. We
picked
don't
on.
have it doesn't take long to find them. You
Well,
can
That's
put people all of the same race, all of the same religion, and they still will find something to bully someone else about.
right. And that's why I say when we say things like weird, I'm like, who determines what weird is? Because what
Exactly.
you're
right.
doing that's normal may be
Not
weird
normal.
to somebody else.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
But
definitely about
Lisette, read
interpretation.
your chat.
Huh? Read my chat. Harvey Dane now, whippersnapper right there. I'm tired of this.
I didn't mean stop
Right,
the
look
show.
at her.
and
She's
read
got
your
to.
chat.
She's got to put her glasses on.
Oh my god! I didn't
Kind
mean
of a
stop the
Have
show.
you
and
guys
read
seen the show My Name is Earl?
Yes.
Does anybody hear that? Yeah, I think that's a good show where he talks about karma a lot, and he comes across a lot of the people that he's bullied throughout his life, and then he does some good deed that makes them feel better. And I thought that was pretty interesting. We should all try to live our lives like My Name is Earl, where you try
That's a
to.
pretty good show. That was a pretty brainy
Yeah,
show too, actually.
I thought so too. I
Pretty
thought he
cerebral.
didn't get enough credit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're gonna go into our final thoughts. And what's your final thoughts? To sum all this good stuff all up, put it all in the pot, and see what we got left. What we got here.
I'd say stand up for bullying if you have the ability to do so in a reasonable way, and be strong. It's a lot of the way you perceive life is how you perceive inputs coming into you, if that makes sense. So you're only going to get bullied if you let yourself get bullied, and give people the strength to not be bullied, because you can't stop every single bully. Does that make sense? I just kind of feel like I had a word sandwich there. But yeah,
Thank
There's
you.
one. That's one of my beautiful daughters that just commented. Stop
stop
bullying.
bullying.
Okay. We get
Thank
it.
you. Awesome.
Listen. So if you're number one, if it's brought to your attention that your kid is bullying someone, don't do the. I hate when I hear parents go, my kid's an angel.
No, my
Well,
kid would never do that.
I always love that. Find them some avenues to let out their frustrations. Also, hey, do what my sister did. My nephews went to karate. jujitsu. They went to about 4 different martial arts schools when they were kids. And I guarantee you, well, that at least will eliminate the physical bullying. Okay.
Awesome.
That'll at least eliminate that part. You don't tend to get physically bullied when someone knows you can kick the bleep out of them. Uh,
Right.
but in terms of the emotional bullying, cyberbullying, and all those things, we also have to get better at navigating um, them on what to do. I'm glad we got rid of the old time. You know how our parents used to go, if they're picking on you, they're not your friends. They'd give you the cliche parent answers, you
We
know.
talked about that. Yep.
And
Sticks and
so, like,
stones.
I remember my niece kept coming. She came to me and told me these girls are picking at her on Facebook. You know, back when younger people were using Facebook, and I said, "Hey, look, block. She's gone." Well, she's just gonna make another account. I said, "Well, guess what? You have unlimited blocks.
Right.
Don't engage." We also have to teach them not to engage. You know,
Exactly.
you know
I
what a
would
bully
like,
does when you don't engage? They get
What?
disinterested and they go find somebody else to bully. I'm not telling you that's a great thing, but
no, but that's the
Responses
truth.
to them.
That's good.
That's the truth. And I think it's up to a final thought is I think it's mine anyway. I think it's up to parents when it comes to cyberbullying to know what their kids are doing on the phone and to know,
you
you know,
won't.
I mean, they need to. They need to.
Yeah, but you won't. It's every kid's job to. I mean, that's just the age-old thing. We didn't have the internet, so what did we do? You knew I had the nudie magazines. You just had to figure out where they were hid. It's our job as teenagers to hide shit from our parents. You can try to find it. You're gonna find some of it, but you
My
ain't
job
gonna
is
find
hide
all of
it.
it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's
No, you don't mind?
no. I agree with that. I agree with that to an extent, but you know,
Yeah.
you got to be on top of it. If
Right.
All right, Mark.
Well, my final thoughts is like my opening thoughts. John didn't hear these, but I
You
just
know
hope
what?
I hope everyone enjoyed the show. And if you didn't, just let me know, and I'll come and knock the shit out of you.
That's what he said.
Lay on the lumber.
Well, you know what? My final thoughts is, this is a great topic because I have experienced being bullied and I have did some bullying, believe it or not. And it was wrong, but you know what? Just
Waitress.
because someone is not meeting up to your expert standards or whatever, you shouldn't be trying to make them feel bad.
Like a waitress.
Obviously you got some inner issues in yourself, and you need to get some help. But I will say this: if you're being bullied, then don't internalize it like there's something wrong with you. It's
right,
them. That's the problem. And if it keeps on to the point where you can't, function throughout your day, then you need to get some help on them. Whether it's police or teachers or whatever. Do whatever you have to do, or just go to them like this. I said it. Yeah, but you know what?
Just don't make
Thanks.
that fist.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
thanks for watching the show.
What was
We
that?
love
Is
you
that the
guys.
old school? Come on, I'm coming right at you. What is that?
Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching the show. We love you. Thanks for your comments in the chat room, and please come again. Come back next Monday. Continue to come on, slide on back over and watch some more of our productions.
Think
Kiana
I'm funny,
Productions, all right?
how? Like I'm a clown, like I amuse you.
I want one day when she says, "You know what?" for everybody to just go, "No, we don't know what."
The show don't do that. We don't know what.